Here, let it down. Now, that seems to be resting solidly.
Thank you, Mr. Bray. You too, Mr. Craig. Because of your help, we'll be able to leave just as soon as Sam and Davy get back with the wheel.
Well, by my watch, it's now 5:27. Just when do you expect the wheel to arrive?
Oh, sometime after dark, more or less. If I know Davy, it'll be less.
Well, that's very satisfactory. That should give me ample time.
Ample time? For what?
Well, I'm a man who operates on schedule, Mr. Perry. Time is precious. The hours we're spending here because of an accident may seem wasted to you. But to me, they represent the knowledge that my hands are clean. Also, my conscience. See, I'm making an experiment.
What's bothering him?
I'm afraid it's a result of a shock. You see, a very close friend of his died recently. His death seems to have affected Mr. Burke mentally for the moment.
Would you know him before you got on the stage?
No. Why do you ask that, Mr. Perry?
Well, you talked about this friend of his dying.
Oh, yeah, he read a newspaper I showed him on the stage.
Oh, I see. Well, the reason I asked, I just wondered if he'd ever been mentally affected before.
I think he's been emotionally unstable for some time.
Well, I feel sorry for him, but why does he have to catch my stage?
I know what you mean. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, thanks very much. I appreciate what you've done. If you don't mind, I'm gonna check on the horses.
When you repack my clothes, make sure they're neatly folded, huh?
As I remember, when I packed them the last time, you didn't complain. Why complain now?
You know, sometimes, Sally, I get a feeling that you don't trust me.
The thought's there, but that's not the way I'd say it.
There's no money, Sally. There never was. Not even in Barker's safe. I doubt if there's any real money within a radius of 50 miles. Except the 5,000 that Jethro has, of course. Neatly packed.
Have you asked Jethro for the money?
With the driver around? I thought you'd give me more credit for brains than that.
I've given you credit for too many things already.
Besides, I think you should be the one that asks your husband for the money. In spite of everything, he seems quite fond of you.
I won't do it.
Of course you will.
I'll tell the driver the whole story.
I thought we went through all that before.
You know, you sound so sure of yourself. You're as much of a cheat and a liar as I am. And a murderer besides.
You're very pretty, Sally, but you're very stupid. You see, there is a warrant for your arrest. It's quite valid. Now ask Jethro for the money, or I'll see that somebody puts a rope around that lovely neck.
And to think I believed all the things you said about loving me. You couldn't live without me.
Well, in a way, the last part is partially true. You see, I have very expensive tastes, and I was running out of money. Now, if you'll ask Jethro to be reasonable.
Ask him yourself.
Sally, please do what I tell you. I'm not ready.
What do you think you're doing, mister?
You stay out of this, driver. It's no concern of yours.
I'll be glad to when we get to where we're going. Until then, Mrs. Burke is my responsibility. We got a rule. Men don't hit women in transit.
I caught her going through my luggage.
Is that true?
Would you like to search me, Mr. Perry?
Miss Burke, I think you better join your husband.
Thank you.
By all means, join your husband. And don't you forget what I told you. You know, driver, you're a fool.
Well, that may be, but that's my privilege.
Well, I would advise you to forget everything you've seen and heard.
I'm sorry, Mr. Craig. All this is going to go in the company records.
Oh, I don't think this will.
Don't you ever try to draw a shoulder gun on me, mister. I wouldn't want to kill you.
3. Elapsed time, 2 hours and 20 minutes. No wind. Allowing for a decrease in oxygen at this altitude, the rate of burning should remain constant. Also allowing for a 10-minute error factor due to unfavorable conditions and undetectable variations in material, the safety factor remains the same. I conducted my experiment very carefully. And I know that the fires we planted could not have broken out before 10:38 p.m., even allowing for a 10-minute error factor. What I'm trying to get through my own mind is how the fires we planted could have killed her. It couldn't. I know it couldn't.
Still mad, Pop?
What makes you think I'm mad?
Well, you sounded kind of mad when I was kidding you about your breath.
I was just trimming you down to size.
Well, Hannibal sure got trimmed down, just like you said. I went looking for him in that clump of trees out back. He came busting out with a big bear after him. You know what he did?
No, what'd he do?
He aimed right for me and sat down right on my feet.
Yeah? What'd you do?
Well, I'm not about to fight no full-grown bear with my hands. I raced Hannibal back to the barn and beat him by 50 yards. Pop, what would you think if you saw a man kissing another man's wife?
Well, it all depends whether her husband was around or not.
Well, suppose he wasn't.
Well, there's different kinds of kisses.
Don't you think I know anything? This sure wasn't the way I'd kiss my sister, if I had a sister.
It wasn't.
No.
When did all this happen?
This afternoon, just as I was leaving Luke, I saw Mr. Craig kissing Mr. Burke's wife. Oh, what do you think, Pop?
I was thinking Luke might be in trouble. You up there, Molly?
Jethro? I must talk to you.
Something wrong?
I'm afraid there is. Do you still have the $5,000 Mr. Barker gave you?
Of course.
Don't you think I ought to keep it for you?
Why?
Why? This is wild country. What if the stage were held up? The bandits might search you, but I'm sure they wouldn't search a lady quite as thoroughly.
I'm afraid you've been reading too many stories about the West. I can assure you I've made exhaustive inquiries, and this stage carries nothing of great value. Besides, as you've told me many times, just to look at me, no one would think I had any money.
That's your mistake, Mr. Burke. Now, if I were you, I'd give your wife the money to keep for you. Or maybe you'll even give it to me in return for my silence.
Are you trying to blackmail me for something, Mr. Craig?
Well, let's say that I'm giving you a chance to save your life. But I'll give you time to think it over.
Well, that's very kind of you.
I'm sure we understand each other.
I'm afraid that statement's not quite accurate. Let's say that perhaps I understand you, but I don't think you understand me.
Jethro, give me the money. He saw you leave the factory. That means you were the last one to see Mr. Barker alive. There's a warrant out for you in Barkersville, and the police are waiting